Hello, everybody. I want to welcome you to this 5-minute PD called Inquiry-Based Learning in Elementary Music, using questions to spark your students' best learning. So let's think about what is inquiry-based learning. And for this training, we're going to think about it in the music classroom and how it will allow students to figure things out and begin making meaning for themselves by hearing a musical concept, feeling a musical concept, maybe even seeing it represented in some way before being told what it is. I think of it as an opposite approach of all of my own learning from every class I was ever in, and even my piano lessons. So in piano, they teach you your finger numbers. Here's the keyboard, here's the black keys, you turn the page, boom. This is a quarter note. Here's what it looks like. Here's what it sounds like. Let's clap 4 of them. Let's count 4 of them. And now here we are in a piece of music where we're going to use that quarter note. But inquiry-based learning is an opposite direction. Don't think of it as backwards, because to me, that seems to think that one is forward and then one is backward. So I think of it as just an opposite approach. One goes this way and one goes that way. And in this inquiry-based learning, you start with the musical experience. You are using the concept with your students. And then along the way, you're asking questions that spur the students' perception and experience, their own critical thinking skills. So they begin analyzing, connecting to prior knowledge, and starting to make their own meaning before we tell them what that actual concept is. Also, this inquiry-based learning waits until students are secure in their expression of this concept, whether it's movement, whether it's clapping, whatever it's singing, whatever it might be. After they are really secure on that, then we label it, we show it, we say, this is what musicians call it, this is what it looks like, this is how we read it, this is how we write it. We reinforce that, and then the greatest expression of that is when they can then use that into their own creation. So how do we do this? We ask questions. Teachers ask questions all the time. So we're used to doing this, but we need to kind of flip this a little bit and ask a question in a different way. And all of these normal questions, who, what, which, when, where, why, did, can, how, do, all of those kinds of things are the questions that we're going to ask. So let's think about the simple little song, bow, wow, wow, whose dog art thou? Little Tommy Tucker's dog, bow, wow, wow. Let's think about that one. And instead of starting with, a rest is a beat of silence, listen for it in this song. Instead of that, say this instead. Pat your legs on the beat while I sing. Can you find something interesting on some of these beats? So you're getting them to think about it and listen and really start to analyze. Instead of saying, this song has 4 phrases, let's sing them all. Maybe say, how many phrases does this song have? Let's hold up our fingers and count them, and then count them with them so that they are feeling that and hearing it. Instead of saying, did you notice the silence on that last beat? Say this instead. Which beat in phrase 1 has the silence? And then maybe next time, now who can remember where those beats of silence were? And a lot of times my students will say, at the end. And then I'll say, yes, it was beat 4. And I'm kind of giving them that language for what they're going to need. Here's some other examples. You could say, you said that you heard a note that was longer. Now, can you figure out where that is in the phrase or in this song? And then maybe later you could say, now can you count how many beats that long note is? Maybe if you're introducing half note, you don't want to say, okay, now here comes the half note, it's 2 beats. You want them to feel that, get it in their body in lots of different ways to where they've realized, oh, this note lasts 2 beats. And then later on, we'll label it. You could do this. We've discovered our 2 melodies. Now, can you tell me the pattern for these 2 melodies in the 5 phrases? In the past, I'd say, did you notice line 1 and line 4, they were the same. And then the 2 in the middle, they were that other melody. But this is the opposite. We're going to try to help them explore that and discover that on their own. You could say, which phrase is the highest? Which phrase is the lowest? Which phrase had a skip in it? Which phrase moves by steps? All of those are asking all of the students to be doing the work. You could say, can you tell by our conducting pattern the meter of this song? And that gets them used to that as well. So So here's a couple bonus things. As we guide students to describe what they're hearing and feeling and seeing, sometimes they don't know the correct language to use, and they might say it in a little bit awkward way. We know what they're saying, but that's that opportunity to start filling in some of that vocabulary. And then without even knowing it, they'll start using the same thing. For instance, if they say, well, nothing happened on that beat, and I'll say, are you sure nothing happened? It was still a beat. Maybe it was just silence. Or they'll say, there was nothing at the end. And I'll say, yes, you're right. Beat 4 had a silent beat. And then later on, they'll say the silent beat was on beat 4, because without even knowing, they are internalizing that language. Another bonus is that as students listen and watch for the answers to the questions, they're repeating things. And if I'm doing a lesson with Bow Wow Wow, by the end of that lesson, we've probably sung it 15 times. But if I started the lesson with, okay, we're going to sing this song 15 times, after the 5th time, they would be going, I'm bored, I don't want to do this anymore. But they don't even realize that they're doing that. And that repetition is such a key to learning, not only for learning, but for musicians. We have to learn those skills at rehearsal. So here were some questions specifically for that song, Bow Wow Wow. And I put the text over in that box and showed you kind of the body signs that I love body solfege. So I started with my do, and then I went to mi, and then to so, and then to the mi, re, do at the end. So starting, I would say, can you keep the steady beat somewhere on your body while I sing? And they just keep the beat and listen. And we do that a couple times. And then I might say, now do it with me and do these motions that I'm doing. And I'm singing on a neutral syllable. I'm not even singing the words yet. I just want them to get the melody and the body motions. And then little by little, I'm adding more to it. So after we've done it with body motions and I'm finally singing the words, and they think it's such a cute little song about a dog, then I'll say, well, which phrase was here? Or which phrase went like this? And I'm just calling that from their memory and getting it deeper into their experience. Then for that quarter rest, instead of saying, let's do this for the quarter rest, which would be fine, I might say, remember that silence? Can you do something silent with your body to show that there's a silent beat there? And you'll get all kinds of really creative motions. They could use their eyebrows, they could use their head, they could use their arms, whatever they want. It's a question and answer. So instead of saying, this is a question and answer song, that's a very familiar form in music. Instead of saying that, say, did you hear a question in this? Which phrase was the question, or which phrase was the answer? And they're analyzing and they don't even realize it. Beat analysis. Where were those beats of silence again? And so I will, maybe the second time I'll say, sing Bow Wow Wow to me. And as they're singing it, I'm just on the board writing lines for the beats. And so I end up with this section of lines. And then I'll say, now what beat was it that the rest was on? And by then they all know that it's on beat 4 and it's on line 1 and line 2 and line 4. And very easily we just put an X on it. We don't even put a rest yet. We just put an X. But that's when I reveal what this is, that it's a rest and that this is what it looks like. And then most of the kids, by that time, I've done ta and titi, or walk or tiptoe, or however it is that you introduce ta and titi, and we can fill that in. And even for the younger students, we're able to do the entire song, and it's so exciting. And we can sing it with the notation, and they feel really good about it. And then later on, either during that same time or later on in the year, at some point, if you're introducing 4/4 time, you can come back to this exact same song and do the same thing, show them the pattern, have them conduct it with you, and then say, how many beats is this song in? And then introduce that 4/4 time. Or mi, re, do. Typically, we don't introduce do at the same time as so and mi, but later on, we want to introduce that do, and that would be a really good way, or even the major triad. So why do we want to change the way we're asking questions? Why do we want to engage our students in this different way? It does seem to take a little bit longer and be a slower process, especially at the beginning. And is it worth it? And my opinion is yes, Absolutely, yes. You will see much better retention in the students and that deeper connection. We've got students that have a very high aptitude for music, and almost no matter what we do, they're going to get it and they're going to move along. But for me, I want all my students moving along with me. I want them all to see themselves as young musicians and that they can learn and they can grow and they can do this on their own. And it really, really does work to get everybody thinking and everybody connected and everybody engaged in the lesson. So your student engagement benefits, your classroom culture of teamwork benefits. You just feel like you're having fun together. They don't even realize how much work they're doing. It's just so fun and engaging. And instead of working so hard to keep their attention, you've already got their attention. And so they're engaged and you're not as exhausted at the end of the day. The students feel accomplished, they feel successful, and they really can't wait to see what they're going to do next because they feel like they are a part of the process of discovery in music class. It's very helpful, especially if you don't see your students very often. If you only get to see them every 10 days, then you really, instead of just talking to them, now remember this, now remember, okay, remember we did this, let's remember all of this from 10 days ago. If you can get them to pull that back up in their memory, then they're with you. And going through this process is going to get it deeper into their bodies and their minds and their little hearts. The process does get faster as we get used to carrying them through this process and asking the questions in that way. And then they get used to thinking in this analytical way and they're ready to answer and they remember, oh, yeah, that's a half note. Oh, well, that was 4 beats long. And they're ready to just add on to their knowledge. It is a transition, and that's okay. It's okay for us to transition in our teaching. It's okay to transition our students in their learning as well. So next class time, introduce a new song with inquiry. Introduce it in a different way. Bring a song back to their memory instead of saying, remember that song we did last time? Just say, what song is this? And sing it on a neutral syllable. Or don't sing at all. Just do the motions that you did. Or just clap it on your hands and see if they can pull it up. I have been very surprised how many students will go like that because they remember it and then they'll say a totally different song. And it's so funny to me. But then after we've done it a few times or somebody else will go, no, that's the little Tommy Tucker song. And then they remember it and then they're ready to go. It's really fun. Ask your students to do a song exactly how you have done it before, but do something different, add new motions or start on a neutral syllable and then add the words and just give it to them piece by piece and bring them along in that way. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Amy Deaton from Jenks West Elementary. I'd love to hear from you if you have any questions or comments, and I hope you have a lot of great fun leading your students in this process of inquiry.